Hi, I'm Lindsay, and I'm here to introduce you to a few of my favorite romance novels. Okay, let's get started. First off, we have Nora Roberts' The Awakening. It is the first book in the Dragonheart Legacy series. We're introduced to Breen Kelly, a 20-something living in Philadelphia teaching middle school. She absolutely hates her job, and she's prone to headaches, bad dreams, and lately paranoia thinking a man is following her. While taking care of her unfeeling mother's home, the wind conveniently blows open a cabinet that had been locked before. The papers inside are all about Breen and how her father did not abandon her when she was younger. In fact, he sent money throughout her entire life. By the time Breen realizes this, she's quite wealthy. After settling up her affairs, including quitting her horrible job, Breen finally does the one thing that she's wanted to do her entire life. She flies her and her gay best friend, Marco, to Ireland. Not only for a vacation, but also to look for her father. This is where her real journey begins. Learning that her father was actually king of the Fae, and he sacrificed himself for his people. Breen reunites with her grandmother and childhood best friend, finally remembering that she was born to this land. As she's realizing her true worth, she learns that she'll soon do battle with a great evil, who wishes to take the powers of everyone who lived there. Her grandfather. With a little help from the new king, Keegan, Breen finally realizes why her true self is awakening. Next, we'll talk about Susan Wigg's Charm School. Everyone knows the story of the ugly duckling that turned into a beautiful swan. Isadora Peabody is that duckling. Born in the 1800s, trapped with a family who thinks of her as a burden, awkward, and accident-prone, she jumps at the chance to sail to Brazil aboard the Silver Swan as their new interpreter. Her, a job, amazing. Here she meets the motley crew and their temperamental sea captain, Ryan Calhoun. During the long journey from Boston to Rio, Isadora builds confidence in herself because there was nothing wrong with her to begin with except some allergies. And she finds love along the way. Charm School teaches you that you don't need to be the same blood to be family, and acting like pirates is a fun way to behave. I'll leave you with this quote by Isadora. Now she realized that the key to happiness had less to do with setting up housekeeping with an appropriate spouse, and more, far more, to do with finding someone who gave one confidence and peace and passion, gifts so rich she had no words for them. Next, we'll talk about Gina Showalter's The Darkest Night. What happened to the sins after Pandora opened that box? In the first book of the Lord of the Underworld series, we find out the truth. Pandora was innocent. Her warrior brothers put her up to it. And because of that, each became possessed by the demon embodiment of the sin from that box. The Darkest Night introduces us to Maddox, the keeper of violence. Cursed to die every night, only to be reborn every morning. Enter Ashlyn, haunted by voices of the past, who hopes the angel, rumored to live in the castle on the hill, can help her. Little does she know, Maddox is no angel. Together they must learn that true love sometimes takes the ultimate sacrifice. And I finish with this quote from Maddox. You are mine, woman, and I am yours. Until you, my life was desolate. I existed, but I didn't truly live. Now I live, even in my death. Next, we'll talk about the Black Dagger Brotherhood. The first book is called Dark Lover. The series is by J.R. Ward. They are warriors chosen by their goddess, the Scribe Virgin, to protect and serve the vampire race. See, in this series, vampires are just another race of beings who inhabit the earth alongside humans, but humans are unaware of them. You cannot become a vampire, you must be born into it. Vampires don't feed on humans, they feed on the blood of the opposite sex and massive amounts of food. The first book not only gives the backstory of the race and the Brotherhood, but it also tells the story of Wrath and Beth. Wrath is the last pure-blood vampire on the planet. He's king of the race, 6'6", pure-muscled steel, tattooed, enjoys mowing down the evil slayers who hunt his people. Oh, and he's blind. Enter Beth, previously unknown daughter of Wrath's best friend Darius. She's half human, half vampire. And yet she has no idea what's about to happen to her. After experiencing weird feelings for months, only Wrath can save her during her transition into a full vampire. After a few laughs, a few tears, and a lot of love, these two finally settle their differences and come together permanently. This book is a multi-series universe set in Caldwell, New York. So far, this book has created 27 books across 3 different series. Each book will take you more into the world of vampires and slayers. It's quite a wild ride. Keeping up with our paranormal theme, The Shadow Rider by Christine Feehan. This is the first book in this series as well. Have you ever wanted to hide in the shadows, but in order to move from place to place? That's what a Shadow Rider does. They have the ability to manipulate themselves and hide in any shadow and move anywhere they like. They carry out missions to rescue or assassinate people depending on what the paying clients request. Stefano Fierro is the leader of a tight-knit and loyal crime family. Known as a playboy, he and his brothers voluntarily became paparazzi fodder in order to have a plausible deniability for each other's missions. Francesca Capello is on the run, hiding from the man who murdered her sister. So finding herself the center of attention of a mysterious man who she firmly believes is a mafioso is terrifying. Stefano knows he's met his soulmate. Their shadows touched on the sidewalk when they met. So Francesca is an untrained shadow rider, and it's up to him to welcome her into his world. And last but not least, The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. You've seen the show, now read the book. And now you'll understand why it's a global phenomenon. The great Shonda Rhimes read this book and fell in love with the story. Many of the characters that you meet in the series are not the same as in the book. The book is much more tight-knit for the family. So The Duke and I centers around Daphne's social season. This is where the young single ladies are vying for attention of the single young lords. Daphne has decided she doesn't want just any titled lord. She wants love just like her parents had. So she strikes up an agreement with Simon, the Duke of Hastings, to pretend a courtship and to get everyone off their backs. Problem is, their pretend courtship has turned into real love. They marry, but Simon is harboring a secret. Can they overcome it and build a happy marriage? Or will Simon and his stubbornness tear them apart? Thank you for watching my book talk. I really hope that you found something that you might like to read in the future. Many people overlook the romance genre with a lot of eye rolls, but really the whole premise is a relationship and it must be a happy ending in order to be a romance. And isn't that what we all want in the end? A happy ending? I know I do.